just above Timpanuki up here in American Fork Canyon. And it's not going to be too much longer before they decide to close the gates up here, so might as well take advantage of what we can while we can. Pretty awesome scenery. That up there is Mount Timpanogos, which is straight right there where my finger is. Been lots of reports of Bigfoot up in these areas. Lots of reports of sounds and actual visuals of the creature having been seen by all sorts of folks. So, and not anybody up here. That's the beauty of it. That's what's nice. But there's just something to be said about being out here. Doesn't really matter where, whether it's the high Uintas or just up here close by in American Fork Canyon. I thought I'd seen a pretty cool tree structure, but it turned out to be nothing. But it's interesting, you think about how nature takes its toll on these trees. I mean, you look at this one here. There's the top end of it. And there's the bottom end of it. And it's weird how nature can play a role in how these down trees end up. Pretty cool stuff. So this is Hayden Peak, and Hayden Peak is on the western edge of the high Uintas. It's basically part of the Uinta Wasatch Cache and the National Forest in the western Uinta Mountain Range. So it's pretty neat because the Hayden Peak area, you're about just over 12,000 on elevation, 12,000 feet. So it's way high up there. Really, really cool area. The area that we were in is just further to the north and to the east of Hayden Peak and the Christmas Meadows area. And that was in my last video that I had posted. But the interesting thing, we were able to get some snapshots of some of the tree structures that we had seen while up in the Christmas Meadows area. And as you can see on the tree structures there, these trees are intentionally put there. They're placed there in that specific orientation, if you will, and the reason for it really is unknown. There's been a lot of hypothesis or speculation as to why these tree structures do exist. And I've come across tree structures quite a bit in my hikes and in different expeditions in different areas, different canyons, mountain ranges, and so forth. And they are very interesting. If you don't know what you're really looking for, that is something that you would just bypass and you wouldn't really take note to it. But when you really start looking for these tree structures, the first thing that's really interesting is that these things were placed there intentionally. That the tree didn't just fall down and land in that configuration on its own. These trees usually aren't even part of that grove, if you will. These trees have been taken elsewhere and brought and then just placed there. And these trees aren't light. They're quite heavy and they're quite long, as you can see. And when you try lifting them, it's just you can't. They're heavy and they're awkward and so on and so forth. Thing that's really interesting is that some people have a conclusion or an idea maybe that these tree structures or kind of like directional pathways for these Sasquatch in their migration routes, if they have any, or their routes to and from different mountain ranges. Who knows? And what is the purpose for it? Others have speculated that these tree structures, that they kind of indicate perhaps this is my side of the area, that's your side of the area, maybe a territorial type thought process that has gone into it. It's really anybody's guess, but what is out of the ordinary is the mere fact that these trees have been intentionally put there in these types of configurations. Not only do you have these types of configurations, but you also have tree breaks. And in previous videos, I've put videos and images of tree breaks that essentially are anywhere from 9 to 13 feet high, and that's where the break is. So something has to be extremely tall, for one, and then two, have an arm length that can get up to that height, and then to snap that tree. Now, a lot of the times you're going to see tree snaps just when you're walking out in the forest, and you can really tell because a lot of it really is top heavy from snow, so the tree breaks. But I've come across some where the tree break itself is extremely, it's just odd. The tree is green, and yet 10 to 12 feet high, you have a tree break. There hasn't been any snowfall. This is the dead of summertime. What caused that tree to break? It's not to be the wind or anything like that. Nothing's going to get up there that high and start yanking on it just to break it. And for what purpose? These are trees that are off grid, off your pathways. These are just in deep out there in the forest. So, the question has to arise: what made those tree breaks? If it wasn't Mother Nature that did it, and if that tree is healthy, then what has that strength and that capacity to be able to break that tree? And this then again goes back to the point of, are the tree breaks kind of like the configurations in these tree structures, in that it's a directional type navigation system that these things have, or exactly what is it? And it's anybody's guess, but it's very fascinating. So, and I posted some of those tree breaks in my earlier videos, but this tree configuration here, these are known worldwide. It's not just a isolated event. These things are happening all over in different countries, and here throughout the U.S., Alaska. People come across these things, and for what is the purpose? What is what made these tree configurations? So it is fascinating, and it's kind of a two-part thing, because what made it, and then secondly, what's the purpose for it? So I just wanted to post that up there. It's just kind of some food for thought. But when you're out there looking, or out just gallivanting in the forest and what have you, typically people aren't really aware of really their surroundings. They're focused basically on the trail, and just immediately what is in front of them. When you're not looking for stuff intentionally, you're gonna miss a lot of things. And even me, I've walked the same path after having been on it, and come across something that I didn't see as I was headed up. And so it's very it's fun, it's interesting, but there's just so many things out there that we don't understand, that go along with these things. One thing that I am convinced, there is something out there, and I tell people, use whatever word fits your vocabulary, but people are seeing something. People are seeing things out there that they can't explain, and unless we have that many crazy people running around, you have to question and really consider that we don't know everything. We don't, and we haven't discovered everything that there is to be discovered. And like I've said in my previous videos and posts, that if we for 1 minute think we have, then I think that's when we kind of get in those danger zones, because there's so many things out there that we have yet to discover, and it's exciting. It really is. And whatever belief system you do have, I tell people, yeah, there's a scientific approach to it, there's a religious approach to it, and kind of a common sense approach to it as well. And when you mingle all three of those together, it gets interesting, because I think the vast majority of people have some sort of religion in their background, and whatever that may be, I think that it kind of indicates in some degree or another, if you've studied it, that we haven't discovered everything that there is, and there's things that have been here on this earth that we haven't, or that we know were here, but where'd they go? So very fascinating.